At 16 years old, before most kids even finish high school, the world decided who Bryce Harper was supposed to be. Not hoped to be, not dreamed to be, decided. They called him the chosen one. Not because he asked for it, not because he demanded it, but because baseball needed a savior. Before Bryce Harper ever faced a major league pitcher, he was already fighting something far more dangerous: expectation. Las Vegas, Nevada. Not a baseball city, not a factory for legends, but inside, a small desert town. A kid with wild hair, reckless confidence, and a swing that sounded different was rewriting what talent meant. Bryce Aaron Max Harper. Born October 16th, 1992. By the time he was a teenager, scouts weren't whispering anymore. They were arguing. How good is he? No. How soon? At 15 years old, Bryce made a decision that shocked everyone. He left high school early, not for trouble, not for rebellion, but to chase the major leagues. The move that changed everything. He earned his GED, enrolled at the College of Southern Nevada. And that's when the myth exploded. In one season, .443 batting average, 31 home runs, 98 RBIs against college competition. At 17, the media didn't know how to react, so they crowned him early. Sports Illustrated put him on the cover. The headline, "Baseball's Chosen One." That cover didn't just make Bryce famous, it made him a target. Pressure before the dream, 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Imagine this. You haven't played a single MLB game, but millions already expect greatness. Not improvement, not learning. Greatness, immediately. Every swing filmed, every strikeout analyzed, every emotion judged. And Bryce Harper, he didn't hide. He played with fire, with emotion, with swagger. And America made a decision. Some would love him. Many would hate him. June 2010. The Washington Nationals are on the clock. There's no debate. With the first overall pick, they select Bryce Harper at 17 years old, the youngest player ever drafted first overall. In that moment, Bryce Harper stopped being a kid with talent. He became a promise baseball would demand be fulfilled. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Being chosen doesn't guarantee greatness. Sometimes it guarantees pain. Because when you rise too fast, the fall gets louder. And Bryce Harper was about to learn that talent gets you noticed, but survival makes a legend. The dream finally came true. The stadium lights, the major league uniforms, the best pitchers on earth. But Bryce Harper didn't arrive quietly. He arrived loud. And the moment he stepped onto a major league field, baseball asked a brutal question. Was he really the chosen one? Or just another kid who believed the hype? The fast track to the majors. The Nationals didn't ease him in. They pushed him forward. Minor leagues, AA, AAA, each level, the same reaction. Packed stadiums, cameras everywhere, fans waiting for proof. Then in April 2012, at just 19 years old, Bryce Harper got the call. Major League Baseball. His debut wasn't perfect, but it was fearless. He ran hard. He played reckless. He didn't look scared. And that confidence, some fans admired it. Others despised it. Hype meets reality. Pitchers adjusted fast. They didn't challenge him. They tested him. Inside fastballs, breaking pitches low and away. No mercy. Strikeouts came. And when Bryce struck out, the cheers turned to boos. The media turned cold. Overrated. Immature. Too emotional. Every mistake felt magnified. And Bryce Harper, he didn't back down. He played harder. Swagger vs. tradition. Baseball is an old game. Respect the rules. Don't show emotion. Act like you've been there before. Bryce Harper broke all of that. He stared down pitches. He flipped bats. He ran with fire in his eyes. To young fans, he was electric. To baseball purists, he was disrespectful. And that divide followed him everywhere, every city, every stadium. Love him or hate him, you had to watch. Early success, loud critics. Despite the noise, Bryce delivered. In 2012, he won National League Rookie of the Year at 19, the youngest position player to ever win it. But even success didn't quiet the critics. They said, he'll burn out. He's all flash. He won't last. The crown was heavy, and Bryce was learning a painful truth. Being chosen means every failure becomes public. But the hardest part wasn't the critics. It was the injuries. Because soon, his body would betray him. And the question would change from, how good is Bryce Harper? To, can he even survive this game? The kid who reached the top at 19 was about to be pulled back down. Hard. Pain was coming. Doubt was coming. And for the first time, Bryce Harper would have to fight himself. Failure, pain, and the loss of identity. At some point, every prodigy meets the same enemy. Not another player, not the media, not the fans, but the mirror. And when Bryce Harper looked into it, he didn't see the chosen one anymore. He saw a question. What if I'm not who they think I am? The body begins to break. Baseball is a marathon disguised as a sprint. 162 games. Daily impact. Relentless travel. Bryce played like every game was his last, and his body paid the price. Collisions with walls, slides gone wrong, a swing powered by rage, knee injuries, thumb injuries, back pain. Each time he returned, he pushed harder, and each time, the injuries came back stronger. The mental war injuries don't just attack the body, they attack identity. Bryce had built his life on one thing, being special. But now, he was inconsistent. Some nights, unstoppable. Other nights, invisible. The fans noticed. The media smelled blood. Headlines changed. Can Harper stay healthy? Is this all he'll ever be? For the first time in his life, Bryce Harper wasn't sure. Imagine carrying this. Drafted first overall Rookie of the Year at 19, labeled a generational talent, and still being told, not enough. Every season that didn't end in dominance felt like failure. Every slump felt like betrayal. And Bryce, he wore it all. On his face, in his reactions, in his anger. The fire that once fueled him now burned inward. The lowest point. There were moments Bryce never spoke about publicly. Quiet nights, ice packs, empty stadiums, moments where the game felt heavier than joy, where pressure stole sleep, where silence felt louder than booze. This was no longer about baseball, it was about self-worth. And the scariest thought crept in. What if the world was right? And I peaked at 19. But something changed. Not overnight, not dramatically. A realization formed. Bryce couldn't chase expectations anymore. He had to become something else. The kid who tried to live up to the crown was about to rebuild himself. Not as a prodigy, not as a headline, but as a complete player. And when that transformation happened, the league wasn't ready. The MVP redemption. Every great story reaches a moment where excuses disappear, where the noise fades, where doubt runs out of places to hide. For Bryce Harper, that moment arrived in 2015. No more prodigy talk, no more patience. This was no longer about potential. This was about truth. A different Bryce emerges. Something was different. The emotions were still there, but they were focused. Bryce stopped chasing headlines, stopped reacting to every voice. He studied pitches, trusted his swing, chose discipline over rage, and when the season began, the league felt it immediately. The season that shook baseball pitchers attacked him. It didn't matter. Fastballs inside, breaking balls away. Bryce adjusted, patient, precise, relentless. By mid-season, the numbers were unreal. .330 batting average, 42 home runs, 99 RBIs, on-base percentage over .460. He wasn't just hitting, he was controlling games. Opponents pitched around him. Fans leaned forward every at-bat. This wasn't hype anymore. This was dominance. Respect earned, not given. The same voices that once mocked him fell silent. Broadcasters spoke carefully now. Opposing players nodded in respect. Bryce Harper had crossed a line. From potential to power. And he did it without changing who he was. Still emotional. Still intense. But now, unavoidable. When the season ended, there was no debate. Bryce Harper was named National League Most Valuable Player. Unanimous. Not because of hype, not because of youth, but because he was the best player in baseball. For a moment, everything made sense. But greatness has a cruel rule. It raises expectations even higher. And soon, Bryce Harper would learn. That individual dominance doesn't guarantee fulfillment. Ending cliffhanger. Because after reaching the summit, Bryce Harper had to ask himself, what am I chasing now? And the answer would change everything. The $330 million gamble money changes everything. Not because of the numbers, but because of the expectations attached to them. For Bryce Harper, the question wasn't, is he worth it? It was, can he carry it? In 2019, Bryce Harper made a choice that shocked the league. Not the biggest contract per year, not the flashiest city. He chose Philadelphia. 13 years, $330 million. No opt-outs, no escape. It wasn't a business move, it was a commitment. Philadelphia doesn't worship stars. It tests them. The fans are loud, the boos are honest, the loyalty is earned, not given. Bryce knew that. He leaned into it. He spoke about championships, about responsibility, about staying. And the city listened, carefully. The first season wasn't perfect. There were slumps, there were questions. Critics circled again. Overpaid. Not enough results. Same old Bryce. But something was different now. Bryce didn't fight the noise. He absorbed it. Transformation into a leader, 71 to 73. Bryce stopped being the kid. He became the voice in the clubhouse, the example on the field, the accountability off it. He played through pain, took responsibility for losses. This wasn't about numbers anymore. It was about belief. Every career ends the same way, not with applause, not with headlines, but with a body that remembers everything it's been through. For Bryce Harper, the question was never whether he loved the game. It was how much pain he was willing to endure to honor it. The injury that changed everything. The elbow, a small joint with massive consequences. When Bryce Harper's injury worsened, the verdict was clear. Tommy John surgery. For a hitter, it's rare. For a superstar, it's terrifying. Months of rehab, uncertainty, silence, but Bryce refused to disappear. He didn't wait to feel perfect. He adapted. He moved to first base, changed mechanics, played through limitation. Not because it was easy, but because leaders don't wait for comfort. Postseason moments that define careers. Then came October, the stage where legacies are written. In Philadelphia, Bryce Harper became something more than a star. He became a symbol. Clutch home runs, emotion pouring out, moments that froze stadiums in time. The crowd didn't just cheer. They believed. Because Bryce didn't play like someone protecting a contract. He played like someone protecting a promise. When Bryce wore Team USA colors, the meaning was clear. This wasn't about money. This wasn't about fame. This was about love for the game that gave him everything. The kid from Las Vegas, now representing an entire nation. It came full circle. Bryce Harper was never perfect. He was emotional. He was loud. He was flawed. But he was honest. He showed the world something rare. That greatness isn't about being chosen. It's about choosing to endure. When the body breaks, when the crowd doubts, when the crown feels heavy. Someday, the numbers will fade. Batting averages, home run totals, contracts. But what won't fade is how he played. Bryce Harper didn't become a legend because he was crowned early. He became one because he survived the crown. Because when the noise screamed, when the body failed, when expectations crushed, he stayed. And in doing so, he showed the next generation something powerful. You don't have to be perfect to be remembered. You just have to be real. Music rises slowly, fade to black. Bryce Harper, not just the chosen one, but the one who chose to endure.